Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful mandala papercraft project for Diwali. You can get the free SVG at craftwithsarah.com, and then let's see how to load it into Design Space, get everything cut out from cardstock, and then we'll stick it all together. Let's get started. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the design into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then press Upload over on the left-hand side. Go into Upload Image, and then you can click Browse to find a file on your computer, or you can drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then the file you want is the one which starts SVG in the file name. I'm going to drag and drop that in, and then it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see the layers all next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, click Cancel down here on the bottom, and then start again and make sure you choose the file which starts SVG. This one's looking good, so I'm going to press Upload, and then it will appear in my recent uploads, so I can click on it and then press Add to Canvas. It might take a little while because there's lots of layers, but then here we go, this is what it looks like. To resize it, make sure the padlock icon is closed. If it's open like mine is, you can just click it to close it. You might need to click it twice, it's a little bit buggy at the moment. And then you can type your width or your height into the box. I'm going to go for 7.75 inches wide and then press Enter on my keyboard. And you see the height changed in proportion, and that's because that padlock was closed. Now, if you wanted to on this design, you could just cut the little candle dish without cutting the mandala behind it. To do that, scroll down to the bottom of the layers panel and then click the eye icon next to all of the mandala layers until you're left with just these ones. And then you could use that one as a design on its own. And if you're cutting this to maybe go on a greetings card or something else that's quite small, then it might be an idea to just cut this section of the design rather than all of the mandala layers. However, for this project, I am going to test them all. So let's turn these back on by clicking the eye icons. This design has quite a lot of different colours in it, and you can see all of those by pressing Colour Sync over on the top right of the screen, and this will separate everything out into the individual colours. If you want to simplify this, you can click and drag the layers around to change the colours. For example, instead of that light pink behind the front of the bowl, I could maybe make it yellow, and then I don't need that light pink colour. So you can have a little play with this to change it around to simplify the colours if you want to. But again, I'm going to cut mine exactly as it was designed, so I'm happy with how this is all looking. Let's just click Layers again so that we've got the Layers panel back, and then press Make It. And this is going to separate it out into all of the different mats. You can change the paper size in this drop down, but note that you need to do that for every single colour. You can help save space on your cardstock by clicking and dragging the shapes around. Just make sure none of them touch or overlap, otherwise they won't cut out properly. So go ahead, get everything looking how you want it to, and then click Continue. It will connect to your Cricut machine and then get everything cut out from your different colours of cardstock. Here are all of my layers cut out, and I've just laid them one on top of the other to check I'm happy with all of the colours and that I haven't accidentally lost anything along the way. However, for layered designs, you work at the bottom and then go upwards. So we need to move all of this about a little bit. I'm going to try and keep the layers in some sort of order. So I'm going to move all of that as one. And then just go sort of 2 at a time, maybe 3 at a time for this one. so that I've got the pattern layer and then the solid bit that goes underneath. And then we're left with these two. There we go. So I'm going to turn this upside down and then add some glue. The glue I'm using is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the card like other glues can do. And then I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. These are going to be perfect for this project to get the glue in all of these tiny bits of the mandala. I'm going to start on the middle though because that's easiest. And just whiz that all around. And then go into these edges. If you can, I do really recommend gluing the edges, the outside bits. If you don't put any glue in here, they're really, really fragile and they can be torn easily. You don't want to ruin your beautiful paper craft project. I'm doing this quite quickly because I don't want to bore you. Normally I would take a little bit more time. All right, so this looks pretty symmetrical at first glance, but it does actually have a bottom to it, which is where the bowl is going to go. So you can see that this doesn't have the little sort of feathery bits in there that the other ones do. So make sure that one's at the bottom. And then stick it down. I don't think this is quite symmetrical. So you just want to make sure that you line it up right so it does sit exactly on that layer below. Then I'm just gently tapping those bits down to make sure they stick, but I don't want any of the glue to smush out. Okay. I think I possibly have stuck that wrong because some of my edges aren't quite lining up, but it's such a tiny amount that you can hardly notice. The next layers are these ones, and we'll start with the solid layer and we'll add our foam squares for this. These are the foam squares I'm using, but these are really big, so I've just taken a pair of scissors and cut them in half so that the the ones that I've already cut will just go that little bit further because they're smaller. There's no sense in using massive foam squares when we don't have to. As well as putting the foam squares around the edge of this piece, you want to make sure you put some in the middle too. And that's to make it really stable so that all of the layers on top don't cause the cardstock to dome downwards, which it can do if it's got nothing in the middle to kind of hang on to. When you've added your foam squares, peel the tops off to release all of the stickiness underneath. Now it gets a bit easier to line up because we have that smooth bit down the bottom which matches the smooth bit on here. I'm going to use that as my guide and then gently drop this down without pushing with any force. And that's so if I wasn't quite happy with the positioning, I can move it around without damaging anything. But once I'm happy, I'm going to push it to seal. Next is the decorative bit that goes on the top, and this will be a glue layer. So I'm going to go in all of these outside pieces to get them stuck. Just like with that yellow bit, I don't want these to not have any glue on, otherwise they'll be really fragile. Then turn it back the right way around and line up and stick. Okay, Next is this section, which is 3 pieces. There we go. You can't actually see that one, but there are 3 pieces there. The bottom one is the solid one, which will be a foam layer again. Now I can line this up and once again drop it down a little and then push to seal. The next part is the lighter purple, and this will be a glue layer. The final layer in the mandala is the one to make the detail on that, and that is a glue layer. So I'm going to add my glue again, and just be careful to get some in all of those teeny tiny pieces. This will line up exactly with the purple. There we go. I love the colours in this. It's so bright and lovely, but also really warm. And then next we've got the bowl to put together. I'm going to move some of these little pieces around and away from each other, just like we did before at the beginning, so that we can start at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is actually put the bowl together separate and then put it on the mandala at the end. So first you've got this one to create the rim around there, and this is going to be a glue layer. Just line it up and it should fit exactly on there. The only bit of blue we're seeing through is just in that rim. And then next we've got these ones, so I'm going to do this one next, and I think I'm also going to glue this one. This is adding all of the colours around the inside and the edges, which gives it all of that lovely depth. And then the next layer will also be a glue one, as this is the last sort of edge rim piece that we've got. The purple is so subtle with how it comes through. I'm not even sure if you can really see, but in person it does help a lot at adding the realism to the depth. Okay, next we've got these front pieces, and I'm going to use foam for the solid bit, which is making up the front. Okay. This lines up along the bottom so that you get a little rim of the blue showing. And then next is the patterned layer, which is a glue one. Just one more left before we move on to the candle flame. And this is a glue layer to make that bright little bit of colour along the top. Right, we're nearly finished, just the candle to go, and then to stick this onto the mandala. There are 4 separate pieces in here. I'm going to foam the bottom one. There we are, and then I'm going to glue the next one. And that goes down at the bottom of the orange. And then I will actually glue all of them, I think, because if I was to use any foam, it's going to bring the flame out further than the edge of the bowl, and that's not very realistic because it would be in the middle. So I'll stick with glue for all of these. Stick with glue. That was an amazing pun. Right, finally, it's time to put that one on there. And because there are so many layers in this section, you can glue it on and it will still look like it's coming out, or you can add the foam. And I'm going to add the foam, but because my candle is still, or my flame, sorry, is still drying, the glue is still drying, I'm going to add the foam on here and do it this way instead. Right. This would, I'm going to drop it. This would make a nice little project all by itself without the rest of the mandala. Okay. There. Right. Let's pick it up. Have a little look at all of those layers. There are so many in this. It is a really, really beautiful design. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this beautiful mandala paper craft for Diwali. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut and card making tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!